just in on what happened shortly after the Mar-a-Lago search. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows began turning over items to the National Archives. This is different, right? So let's get the reporting on this from CNN's Kristen Holmes. She's been working this story and joins us now. Kristen, what have you learned?
Well, John, these are brand new details that show the level of interaction between Meadows and the National Archives, as well as what exactly he submitted. So sources tell our colleagues Jamie Gangel, Jeremy Erb, and Evan Perez and me that within a week of that search in Mar-a-Lago, Meadows submitted text messages and emails to the National Archives. And it was less than a dozen emails. Now, this was actually part of an earlier request for all electronic correspondence that falls under the Presidential Records Act. And what's interesting here is that the archives realized that it hadn't gotten everything from Meadows when it saw what Meadows had actually turned over to the January 6th committee. And that's when they started putting in that earlier request. One thing to pay attention here is that Meadows has actually been working with the archives on a different level as well. And that's something we learned through this reporting for about a year, because he is one of Trump's designees to the archives. So he was called by another designee last summer, a year ago, to try to help get Trump to give these records back to the National Archives. So kind of a weird position for him to be in, turning it over. And then also he was trying to help with the Trump angle of this.
All right, and the timing of this. Is this a coincidence? What do you know about that?
Well, that's obviously the big question here. Now, we have one source familiar with the matter who says that this is totally a coincidence, that the search had nothing to do with Meadows' decision to turn over these correspondence. But another source who is also familiar said, could be a coincidence, but we did get far more after the search than we had ever gotten before with this request.
All right, interesting. I'm sure there will be more reporting from you and your team on this very subject. Kristen Holmes, thank you very much. Perspective now from senior legal analyst Elie Honig, who served as a federal prosecutor for the Southern District of New York. Also CNN legal and national security analyst Carrie Cordero. She is a former counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for National Security. And Carrie, first, just your reaction to Kristen's reporting here on Mark Meadows' correspondence with the National Archives. Does that raise any red flags to you?
Well, the timing is interesting. It's hard to draw too many conclusions from it, but the fact that a physical search was executed, that a warrant was issued from the judge to be able to search the former president's residence with respect to documents that needed to be returned to the archives, most likely, I would think, got the attention of Mark Meadows and his lawyers. And so even if they were in a process already engaging with the archives, I wouldn't be surprised if we learned down the road that sped up their compliance with the archives request.
So, Elie, back to the search of Mar-a-Lago now specifically. If you look at everything the FBI recovered, not only the top secret documents, but the more than 11,000 non-classified government documents, as a prosecutor, what can you conclude from this? Where does it lead you?
Well, John, it raises a lot of questions for me, and my attention is drawn immediately to those empty file folders for classified information that you were just discussing with Kara. I think there's a lot of questions that you set out to answer. First of all, did they ever contain documents, or did they ever contain documents while they were at Mar-a-Lago? Not necessarily, but perhaps some of them did. If so, what documents? Where were they? Were they recovered elsewhere in Mar-a-Lago, or are they gone? That would be, of course, the most concerning outcome. And then finally, if you can ascertain, most importantly, if you're thinking about charging somebody, you need to know who handled them, who mishandled them, what they did with them, and can you show the relevant intent and knowledge? And for that, you'd have to talk to your witnesses. You probably want to look at that surveillance tape that we know that DOJ subpoenaed. You might even try to send some of the documents for forensics or fingerprinting, DNA, although you would not necessarily see anything, even if someone touched them. So I think there's a whole bunch more questions raised by the new filing.
That's just the empty folders there. Carrie, you look at all the paperwork. There's so much material there. There's just a lot of material.
There's a lot of material, it's a lot of documents, and remember, these documents belong to the United States government, and that's really the basic premise that is underlying all of this. I do think that the fact that so much of this information was classified, including lots of information at top secret levels, compartmented programs, really highly classified information, that is what would have lit the fire under the Justice Department to at some point say, we can't wait anymore. We've been engaged in a dialogue for as long as we could could. We need to get these documents back, and we need to do the damage assessment led by the intelligence community to figure out where this information may have been viewed, been seen by, or not. That would be important too for them to determine, you know what, these documents just sat in the offices and basements or locations within Mar-a-Lago and didn't get out. That would be important to know as well. But at some point, I think the classification level of the documents and the volume of classified information is what is driving the intensity of this investigation, which clearly is ongoing.
And Ellie, the former Attorney General Bill Barr said they jawboned for more than a year over this before they ultimately issued the search warrant there. I want to play a little bit more of what he said on Fox News.
I frankly am skeptical of this claim that I declassified everything, because frankly, I think it's highly improbable. And second, if in fact he sort of stood over scores of boxes, not really knowing what was in them, and said, I hereby declassify everything in here, that would be such an abuse and show such recklessness that it's almost worse than taking the documents.
So, Ellie, you literally wrote the book on this guy. You wrote a book on the Attorney General, former General William Barr. Does what he said surprise you?
Well, John, I'm going to say something I rarely say. I agree with Bill Barr on this. I think he hit the nail on the head. And keep in mind, Bill Barr is sort of the ultimate unitary executive guy, meaning in his view, the president has the ultimate power in the executive branch. I'm sure he's of the view that the president has unlimited power to declassify. But what Bill Barr is saying there is an important distinction. He's saying even if the president has unlimited power to declassify, there is no evidence and plenty of counter evidence to this notion that he actually did it. You can have the power, but if you didn't exercise it when you were president, you can't exercise it now in 2022. I agree with Bill Barr on that, and I agree with him on the earlier clip that we played. He can understand, as a former attorney general, that basically DOJ got strung along for over a year, jawbone, to use Bill Barr's colorful expression. And I think he's right when he essentially concludes DOJ had no choice but to go in and execute that search warrant.
And Kerry, one other thing he said, Bill Barr, he said the whole idea of a special master is a red herring and a waste of time. Part of his reasoning was the Justice Department has already gone through the documents. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, he understands the way that investigations work, and that the fact that the Justice Department implemented a taint team to review any possible attorney-client privilege information, which really there was nothing about this search that would have raised the level of potential attorney-client information. So yes, he's right. A special counsel at this point, a special master at this point is not needed in my judgment. Seems like in his judgment as well. And really, the longer that the judge goes on to consider it, the Justice Department just reviews more and more information, and at this point they've even said in their pleadings that they've completed their preliminary review. One other point real quick, John, on the point that former Attorney General Barr was making on the declassification. When documents are declassified, they actually change in their appearance. Lines are drawn through the classification markings, and I think what is shown so far through the photograph and other information is that there is literally no physical evidence that supports the assertion that any kind of declassification was actually done.